Hello, this is Jeremy with Flies and Guides. We are going to tie the miracle fly. We're going to actually redo that video that I've had online forever. A lot of things have changed since that video as far as we've added an 1/80 ounce jig head. I didn't really discuss how we're going to put the yarn in the tube. So let's get started just talking about this one bag of yarn will tie you around 180 flies. And so how you do this without wasting a lot of material is that you get 3 strains. I'm only going to do one. And basically what you do is you just fold it in half and you cut it, okay? Then you're going to fold that in half again and cut it, okay? And that's all you got to do. That'll turn into 6 strands of yarn, and you really won't have a lot of waste, okay? So let's talk about the tube kit. I'm selling these kits too on the site for $39.99. You get a bag of yarn, you get 100 hooks, you get 1 strain of the red for the dot, and that'll tie this whole bag. And then you get the tube kit. I use the largest tube out of the 3, and then the small one is what I use for the baby eggs. The medium one I don't really do much with. But if you notice, it comes with this little tool right here to pull your yarn through, which it's no good. So you're gonna have to find you or make you something like this. I can't find these anymore, but I did find it. And when I did, I bought it. But this works way better. But just get you a small piece of wire and make a hook on the end of it to where it'll fit into the tube, okay? So let's talk about how you thread this through the tube. All right, so I had to point the camera down because I got to show you. You got to have a leg so you can use it as like a base, you know. So with these 2 strands, you're going to pull it until it gives. Okay, that's the key, but you don't want it to give all the way, so you got to be careful. Then you're going to do both ends until it gives. You're going to put that in or on your leg. You're going to do the same thing to this one. Okay, and that's perfect diameter for the tube. Okay, if you don't do that, you can't really pull it through the tube. Now this is tricky. All you do is you break that, but what's cool is it's already ready for you to start bleeding it on to the yarn. So you're basically just going to pull, and I kind of hold it as I pull, but I don't want it to break. And that's what's cool about this is you can feel it kind of giving, and then you can just control it. Then I pull it. Now what I want to do though is I want to go back and I want to form this back into a bonded kind of, because if you let it really start splitting, you're not going to get the roundness on the dot. So I like to come back in and do that. Now with that pulley in this little thing, I'm going to go through the small hole, and I'm just going to find the middle, which is about right here, and you want all that material inside of there. I'm going to fold that in half. It looks like I could probably go this way a little more. I'm all about not wasting. So that's about even. What we're going to do is make sure that red does not go in between and bleed into that material. So I kind of keep my fingers in between the two when I pull through the tube. If you're pulling really fast through the tube, it's too loose. If it's too tight and you're having too much force to pull through the tube, that can be an issue as far as it's too tight. So when you go to put it on the base and you go to pull to make the cut, you're going to lift it off that shank. So we're going to make a cut here to get ready for our first fly. And I like to set this yarn, make sure that this red stays on one of these particular pieces of yarn. Don't let it bleed in between the two, because that's how you will have not a good dot. And just pay attention to that as you're tying. Make sure that that's staying bonded, you know, and it's not kind of trying to force itself into the split of that yarn, okay? All right, so what we're going to do is try to do this on a side angle so you can kind of tell how I'm doing this. The front angle, when I did the old video, it doesn't seem like it worked too well. So we're just going to do a base here. That kind of, you know, it's all about grabbing, you know, you want that material to grab something. Now your first one might not turn out as good. So what I do is I want to be on the back side of it, and I want to lay that right down to where the end of that tube is even with that shank straight across. You're just going to come around that. You're going to tie in front of that a couple times. Then you're just going to go behind that yarn, but stay in front of the tube. Here is where you want to put all your tension, okay? And you're going to do that one more time. And that's why you have to have this GSP 75, because it's really small diameter and it's strong, so it doesn't break. And it's so thin that you won't see the line in between the yarn when you go to make the cut, okay? So we're going to pull enough out, and then we're going to have enough to start the next one. You get on the back of that scissor and you commit to that cut. Okay? Let's do one more. Just make you a base. And we're going to go back up, all the way up. We're going to start it kind of in the middle. Here we go. Behind and front. And same deal, just watch what I do here. That's where you got to have all your tension right now. Because if this tube doesn't just have the memory where it stays like that, that's where that becomes loose on the shank. That's why it's important that you have the right amount, because if I'm sitting here forcing this because it's too much, it's too tight in the tube, it's going to lift that off the foundation, and you're not going to have a really tight egg on that shank, and it's going to slip to the back. Okay, I do 2 whips, man, and I don't glue this. I don't really care to. It never falls apart. Make the cut on the back and commit. And that's why you have to have a curve. See how this is kind of wanting to bleed in between the two? Just take that yarn and kind of make sure it stays on top of one, okay? So that's the egg, man. It's real simple. We have this for sale on the site. We'll talk about that here in a few. So I wanted to talk a little bit about GSP actually is being discontinued from Wapsi. And I think that has to do with, from what I understand, is the dyeing that they're doing on this. What it's doing, and I don't know if this is why, but man, if you look at it, what it does is it builds this residue up, and it builds it up in this in these bobbins too. So for the longest time, I was taking a Griffin bodkin like this, and I was just pushing it in here, and it wasn't going. And I just cleaned this one, so I don't know if I can show you, but let me see if I can show you on this one. See, this does not want to, it doesn't want to go in there. And you can sit there and cram it and cram it and cram it and cram it. And what ends up happening is when you start trying to pull that back out, this needle bodkin is going to slip from this handle. And I've gone through several of these until somebody taught me how to do this, which was Dwayne Dottie. Thank you so much. I'm going to share everybody with this. Hope you don't mind. But what you do is you take a lighter and you're going to heat this bodkin up. And if you heat it up a little bit, what it does is it just goes right in there like nothing. So you just push it in your bodkin, your bobbin, and then you just kind of spin it and you pull all that residue out. See that? And you might have to do this a few times, but you just gotta get a little blade, a little razor blade, and kind of clean that off. And you'll want to heat it again, but this is already pretty much done. This one wasn't as gunked. The yellow one was really bad, but I just cleaned it. I was trying to do a video, show you guys. See how that doesn't want to go in there? So watch this. Just heat that up and go back in here, push it right through, man. It doesn't take nothing. Look at that. And that'll just pull out all that gunk. Just great. It just like grabs it. But you can tell that's really gumped up right there. So that's how you do it. And then, I used to just try to push, like thread through and suck it through. But the older I get, the more I tie. I just go back to the traditional way, which is just stick the threader in there like so. Stick the threader in there. Leave a little bit out. I like to wet the tip of that. Seems like it helps it. Barely stick it in there. pull it through. There you go. I wanted to say something though. I mentioned $39.99 on the kit, which is this kit right here. You get 100 hooks, you get the glow bug and all that stuff I talked about in the video. It's $32.99. It's not $39. And it's always going to come with 100 hooks. I was doing 25 counts, and I was also doing 50 counts, but it seems like the whole bag of yarn is going to tie you over 100, so you might as well get 100 hooks. And that's a good way to stock up on them. So when this video is over, in the description where you can write stuff, we're going to have 3 links in there. One is to buy it as a single fly or a baker's dozen. The other one's going to be the kit. We're probably going to throw one in there for the scissors too. You can buy these scissors from me as well. The only thing this kit does not come with is that GSP, and like I said, that GSP is going to be discontinued, so buy as much as that as you can. The only 2 colors I really use are going to be your red and your yellow. And that is definitely in 75 denier. So order it. I know I tried to order red in bulk and I couldn't get it. So I did get the yellow, which is right here. So whenever I run out of this thread and I have to get some other type of thread, I will let you guys know. Until then, thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you on the next video.